And we're live. How are you guys doing today?
What's up, boys?
Hello.
So,
Are we on the new
Nothing going
channel?
on.
We are on the new channel. Yeah, the new channel is first time we're streaming there, and I will keep an eye on like how many people are joining in from the new channel. Probably 2 people, I assume, maybe 3, and like 99% of the other ones will be probably on the other ones. I guess so.
Hey,
it'll go up over time.
Robin, do you want to share the link in the private chat? We can all post it to our chats so people can go over and subscribe to the new channel. So
That's
eventually, everybody who's watching, eventually we will be moving this to this new channel that we're talking about right now. So you definitely want to get on there, hit subscribe, because otherwise, eventually you'll end up missing these lives if you're not there.
Yeah.
I will do that. And
Can I ask,
go ahead.
the plan here is to eventually just have it streaming on one channel, right?
Yes, the plan is having the whole thing on one channel. My main argument for that is the guys also are connecting to each other. You know, like right now we have 8 different comment sections. So like each comment section might feel like not as nice as it could feel, and having it all in one place would be nice. But we can take our time for like 2-3 months in that. But yeah, what are you guys thinking? Like, I think I don't know if it's just my feed, but my feed is all over with Stretch. Like, I see the Stretch live counter. I see like how many Bitcoin Sailor bought. Like, that's all I'm seeing right now. And I also made it a topic today because last time I think 3 people or so in the comments asked about, "Hey guys, I came for the Stretch talk," and I think we didn't really cover anything. So I don't know who wants to start, but I think Forrest, you made a video on it.
Great video.
I think I saw a video.
Yeah, I made a video. I think there's new sort of novel ways to look at this instrument. Just like how Bitcoin has novel ideas, MSTR is doing novel things here as well with STRC. It's a preferred equity that is absolutely printing right now. It's absolutely allowing strategy to buy a huge amount of Bitcoin. STRC.live is a really interesting website to showcase that. I'll actually just bring that up real quick. But a lot of people want something like STRC. They want something that stays stable, appreciates at debasement levels or higher, so that they can store their value. Like, that is one of the functions of money, right? We always talk about store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account. Well, STRC is functioning as a store of value for people that believe in Bitcoin but don't want the volatility of Bitcoin for whatever reason.
Is that today?
This is today, man. And yesterday, they also, one thing I didn't mention in my video was they also are now able to sell shares pre-market and post-market as well. So it's going to be crazy.
I saw a comment from Adam Livingston on one of my posts. He was saying how they're actually selling 2 shares of MSTR for every share of STRC, just to keep their leverage at a certain level, like the amplification at a certain level. And because of that, they're actually buying 3 times as much Bitcoin as whatever you see here every day. So today, they probably bought something like 4,000 Bitcoin. 4,000 Bitcoin. That's absolutely insane. But then something else that kind of makes me a little concerned is the fact that the price really isn't moving much. So that just means that a lot of people are giving away their Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. So like the 8K of that was released on Monday shows how much STRC was issued and how much MSTR was issued, and it was I think like $900 million of MSTR to 377 million of STRC. So it's just above a third, just below a half kind of thing, which is really crazy. And that's a really interesting way to put it, is to use the issuance of STRC and the volumes that you can see above the 100 as a metric to say, well, there's going to be, 2 to 3 times as much MSTR issued. And this is in a sort of a down market of Bitcoin, that there's still like MSTR The issuance of that really works when there's a lot of positive sentiment around Bitcoin and MSTR because it's amplified Bitcoin. It's used as a trading vehicle for Bitcoin. And that's not the environment we're in. And they're still able to issue $900 million of MSTR in 1 week. So that equity is still working for what they use it for, which is raising capital at a premium to their Bitcoin holdings. And then they have this STRC thing, which was totally designed to be used in a bear market. It's to be where people want stable income, and then they're able to use that in that bear market and acquire more Bitcoin cheaply. And it's firing at levels we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just want to say, because I also saw that on Adam Livingston's channel. I saw his YouTube post, his YouTube video, and then it didn't click for me. I didn't understand what he meant, and I had actually today Dan Hillary on, and he explained it to me in depth what this means. So strategy does not want to go over 30% amplification, because if you don't do the buys on the strategy side, only on Stretch's side, at some point Stretch will make up like 100% of strategy. And so whenever they do it on the Stretch side, they also have to do it on the strategy side to keep the amplification right around 30%. That's kind of their own guidance, to keep it at the 30% mark, which was very interesting to hear, because this means if we have a day like today and they are buying about 1,500 Bitcoin just with Stretch, they're buying like 4,000 Bitcoin. And just to put that into context, we are mining about 450 Bitcoin a day. And up until, I made the calculation to be exact, up until Monday, they bought on average in 2026 974 Bitcoin per day. 974 Bitcoin in 2026. The whole 2026 we had so far, they bought 974 Bitcoin per day. And so they bought like 2.1x of the daily new mining supply, which is just like absolutely crazy in a downwards market with low sentiment, with low premiums and all of that. Man, that machine will accumulate Bitcoin like crazy once we are ripping through like 150, 200K like that. This will go down in history. People will make movies around that stock. I can already tell you.
And people were thinking that strategy is going to collapse.
Yeah,
you learned
like
the last bear market. Your first one, you get you kind of pucker up a little bit, and you're like, oh, maybe I made the wrong choice. Yeah. But he's been through a bear already. Like he was in the drop. I mean, my very first Bitcoin conference was, I just happened to get a VIP pass to Pacific Bitcoin. I was sitting next to Sailor for like multiple presentations. We were just sitting there in the front row on one of the sofas together. It's like chatting. He'd always, like, someone made a comment the other day laughing about, I think it was Strategy World. Whenever you see him, he's just like on a laptop somewhere. He's just always like pecking away on his laptop, just like whatever. And it's exactly what he was doing. So this is late 2022. He's just pecking away on his laptop. He's just sitting there, like his legs folded, just like watching the presentations. And we're just like chatting about whatever. I mean, half of it wasn't even about Bitcoin. We're just like, shooting the shit, right? And they're like, because at the time, there was only 1,000 people there. And, he was a big player, obviously, but he wasn't like he is now, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just funny looking back, and in that market, he was calm. He was calm then. I mean, like, just seeing him around a bunch of Bitcoiners, he was very calm, very cool and collected. You would never know, but I'm sure at some point you kind of like, you pucker, because that was the week, November, Pacific Bitcoin was the FTX drop. So that was like down to like the 15 handle, 16, whatever it was. And so it's, at some point he was still calm, but at some point he's kind of like, oh boy, this is fascinating. What's going on here? But now he's just primed and pumped. He's ready to go. And he knows exactly, they know, I mean, strategy, they know, they've been prepping for this. They've been building these products. It's truly wild. It opens up other discussions, which again, Forrest, your video was great. Just kind of going around the different, whether, being a shitcoin, like all these things, right? And you have to label it what it is, but still has a place in the world, obviously. And it's could, so anyway, it's fascinating. Very fascinating.
I want to ask you guys, do you guys still feel a little nervous during the bear markets? I think I still feel it a bit, but over time, I'm just getting more and more confident. I feel like now when I feel very nervous, that's when I buy. And if I feel that way, I know, okay, eventually the price is going to turn around. Think about the fundamentals. It'll come back.
Is this your first bear market, Rajat?
My first bear market owning, yeah. Yeah, because I converted. I owned stocks back then, right? I was only buying small amounts. Like this bear market, I bought more than I did when Bitcoin was 15K, which is crazy because you could have bought what 5 times more back then with the same amount of money. So I was scared then, but now I feel like I'm getting more and more confident. But talking to you guys, like like the Maple Bitcoin stuff, talking to you, being on Robin's podcast, being on Brandon's podcast, it really helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and someone just said, like, you know, you guys being confident about MicroStrategy makes me worry. I'm confident long term.
I just
like I'm confident long term. Who knows what could happen? MicroStrategy could get cut in half again. We could go down to 40, you know, on Bitcoin, whatever. But this is the thing. Like when you go to a Bitcoin conference, when you're around Bitcoin, this is why we do what we do. This is why we do our podcast. This is why we do our channels. This is why we do these live streams. And Bitcoiners are collaborating much more now, because at the end of the day, that's what Bitcoin is. It's a community of people that believe the same thing, going the same direction. I talk a lot about the founding of America. This is what people did. They Lexington Concord. They got together and they're like, "Hey, the British are coming, and I think they're taking our weapons cache." And we're like, "No, they're not. Like, you have to come through us." And that's exactly what Bitcoiners are doing now. So what I'm trying to say with all this is I'm very, very extremely bullish long term. You go through these swings. In 2017, 2018 is when I got in. You go through these ups and downs. And you have to remind yourself that there's it's either per year or cycle. One of you guys, I'm sure, knows, but like there's only like 10 up days per year, like the real up days, right? Where the explosive move comes, or it's per cycle. So you live majority of your life in, like sideways or like deficit almost. And so you have to get very good at handling those emotions and the objections that are going to come your way, because most of your life is lived in that world until we get to this hyper Bitcoinization moment. And this is where like long-term, MicroStrategy, everything they're doing, massively bullish. The fundamentals haven't changed. They've never been stronger. And when you look at like the actual privacy tech that we actually have, the protocols, the tools, never been better in Bitcoin. Never. I mean, and even the average Bitcoiner doesn't even know this. That's what's really wild. I was talking to, Nathan and Ben from BTC Sessions and BTC Mentor. The things that they, you watch your tutorials and a lot of stuff you guys do too. You watch all these videos and you're like, oh my gosh, like the tools that are out there, people just don't even know about. And just this simple FUD that's just like, it just goes on without anyone even coming against it. Again, it's just, when people wake up to Bitcoin mining politically and how it cleans up the environment actually, or hey, you want privacy, Monero boys, or whoever it is, it's all on Bitcoin. If you want it, it is there right now today. And that's the thing that's frustrating for us. But when people, as the stupid shit keeps happening in the world, people will wake up to this one day at a time. So it's an ever, one foot in front of the other, and it just like clockwork. People they eat their words. We come back out of the bear market and people are sitting there like, oh, I guess I was wrong. Got to do homework next time.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is a roller coaster, right? And if you use that analogy of Bitcoin's price being a roller coaster and bring it to the real world, you could have ridden every coaster in the world. You're still physically going to feel the ups and downs when you're moving. So that's how I feel from this price action is, yeah, I feel it, but I'm sort of detached from it. I'm not like reacting to it. And because I can feel it, it's what you said as well, Rajat, where that's almost a signal of, okay, now is a good time to buy, because I do still feel that volatility, but it doesn't make me get sick anymore. Like, a first time roller coaster rider might do, right? But yeah, that's the way I see Bitcoin's price action.
Maybe that's a thumbnail for next week. All of us on a roller coaster barfing.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like the Sandlot. I mean, it's the same thing for me too. Like 2021, I left my job, left my career that I spent a lot of time building. And it was a big risk. 2021 was ripping upwards. I thought it was never going to come back down. I was like, I don't need a job anymore. I got Bitcoin here. And I was humbled pretty quick. 2022, after quitting my job, moving out here, I had a lot of soul searching to do, truly. Like I wasn't fully knowledge-wise where I am today. And I was questioning things, but now having survived that, because I put in the work to understand the intricacies of Bitcoin, now it's exactly like you said, Forrest. It's like, I feel it, but it's a little bit different now. It's more my ego than my concern for Bitcoin. And it's one of those things where I now know that, like, I don't have any concerns over Bitcoin. I don't. There's a couple things short-term here and there that come up and I'm like, oh, is that worth looking into? But like, this thing's going to be here. There's every signal, every metric that I look at long-term, there's no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin's going to be around. And so you just got to kind of look inward and say, okay, well, if that's the case, then I've already won. I just got to protect what I have now.
Which is most of the battle, right? I mean, like you look at like Warren Buffett, which, he said a lot of dumb things in life. He's also a smart guy, IQ wise, but it's like patience is the name of the game in investing. And when you have the winner and you've done the homework and the properties haven't changed. And that's the thing. Like if it stays decentralized and secure, if it does what it's promised to do every day, you wake up and it's doing the same thing every day and has not changed until or unless that changes, then the thesis changes. But nothing has changed. In 17 years, that has not changed. And so people get shaken out. You get emotional. You get tired. You get bored. I mean, look at how many people like the Vitalics or like the different people over time. They got bored. Like, oh, it's not fast enough. It's I can't do. Well, you're not thinking from the right angle. You're thinking it's a tech company. Like we're gonna go like it's money. It's a protocol off the existing system, and it's going to take its time. Gold took hundreds of years, thousands of years to insert itself, and here we are, 17 years in, and presidents of the world are talking about it. I mean, it's going at light speed if you just zoom out. At the end of the day.
I think I know what Brandon was talking about before, and I was searching for the exact numbers because I find it crazy. And the study is from S&P 500, and it's a long study. They did it over 20 years, and they did the thing where over 20 years there was 5,000 trading days, and if you missed the 10 best days, your returns were cut in half. And that's how I look at it in Bitcoin. I think in Bitcoin, it's probably even more extreme because Bitcoin is more volatile. So in Bitcoin, it will be probably even more extreme where when you miss the 10 best days, it's probably like 70% less returns. I don't know.
You end up negative. If you if you miss the 10 days, I know the study that you're talking about. It's negative. It's crazy.
Oh gosh, it's negative then. If you miss the 10 best days, it's like a negative return. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wild.
And so this reminds you like it's just a DCA long-term patient game. Like that's what it all comes down. And I think most people are not made for it. I've come to that realization, and I don't know if you talked about it last week on that live stream or it was somewhere else that I remember the conversation, but it's not for everyone. Most people don't want to have the roller coaster. Most people want that stretch thing. They want to put the money somewhere and get the 10% return, and that's it. Like they want exactly that, and they have it monthly income on all of those. They do not want the roller coaster because 50% down is like a hit in the heart for them. They feel like the heart was ripped out and like thrown on the stone somewhere. And that's a realization I made with a lot of people in my closeness that I thought should be Bitcoiners, but they can't handle the volatility. It's sad to see, to be honest.
Well, yeah, in my opinion, you're right. I mean, the money flows is evidence that you're right with that thesis. And there's going to be people that literally do not want to buy Bitcoin because it's only 70,000. They want to buy Bitcoin when it's 1 million, when it's 10 million, because then it's the type of asset that they want to hold that has lower volatility and more sort of feeling of guaranteed double-digit returns, but not insane, right? Like that's when they actually will be attracted to Bitcoin with capital. And that's unfortunate because retail doesn't look at it that way. They just see it at being 70,000 and thinking, well, I can never own a Bitcoin, so I'm not going to look into it. Maybe I'll buy this or that or this, right? Because it's almost like the number bias, the unit bias that we have, or that retail has. Large money doesn't have that. They don't care what the unit costs. They just care about the returns and the risk profiles. That's not a metric. Like that's one of the first things you learn in investing is like the price. When I learned about investing, the share price doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the share price is $10 or $100 or $1,000. It's actually about all the other metrics around it. The share price is just the current market price, what people are willing to pay for it based on the available shares and all of the other metrics. So I think other people will realize that later on as well with Bitcoin.
I see the price as just a reflection of the emotions, right? Like how people are feeling at that current time. When the price is trending down, it's just that people are fearful. They're worried. They're thinking it's going to go lower. When the price goes up, they're feeling like it's going to go much, much higher. So either way, like I feel like using the price to make your decisions on whether you buy Bitcoin is probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So true. Yeah, and it's, even just to get back to the stretch stuff here, and whatnot. I think I tangented us, which is my fault. That's usually what I'm good at. Again, it's a little bit of it's just being rich versus being wealthy. Like the Bitcoin is revolutionary in many senses of the word, and it's people that are just focused on the stocks or real estate. Some of us come from the real estate world, whatever business world, and that's a world where yes, you can get rich, but it's going to be harder to get wealthy. Wealthy is your time and energy. It's your freedom. And that's what the promise of Bitcoin is at the end of the day. Am I going to be governed by someone else, or am I not? Or am I going to have agency over my life? And that's really what I'm in it for at the end of the day. It's, I can make money anywhere. I mean, we can all go and we can have a job somewhere. We can start a business, done a lot of businesses. But I think the reason we're all here is because this is something different. It's a protocol outside the system that promises a different world, going from type 0 to type 1 Kardashev society. It's all part of this game and not being controlled by a bunch of cartels up above us. So the time will pass anyway. People talk about well, you got in earlier than I did, or et cetera. Like you guys just mentioned a minute ago. Well, today's today. Like you can get in now. You still have the choice to get in now. I'm still buying. Everyone here is still buying. That should tell you all you need to know. We're still buying. If it was a Ponzi or some other ridiculous thing, then we wouldn't buy. We would just be sitting back and doing nothing. So the signal is in there, but it's for people that have ears to see in the eye, ears to hear and the eyes to see. Excuse me, but it's that's the thing people have to read. Read software. Just go in that thesis. That's what's playing out in the world, in my opinion. That something we can hit on later. Maybe that's what's playing out in right now in real time. Is the software thesis, abstract power versus real power. But what do you guys think about Stretch? Again, we talked about this last week briefly, but I don't think everyone is here. What do you guys think about Stretch and just what Strategy is doing in terms of being top of the funnel, like bringing people actually to this protocol outside the system? Or is it just going to be, which is, everyone thinks it's just this asset inside the existing system? So I'd love, your guys' thoughts on that.
I was thinking about it today. I'm like, is this cheating? Like, is Strategy cheating the system here? That's what it seems like, because we all hate the banks because they have the ability to print money, and it seems like that's what Strategy is literally doing right now. But then I was like, well, there's a couple different ways to get Bitcoin. You either have to mine it, or you have to add value to the world and contribute to it, and that's essentially what Strategy has done here. They built a financial product to allow these big pools of capital to get exposure to Bitcoin, or I guess a pretty damn good return on that. So I guess when I think about it, my first thought is, yeah, this is bullshit that Strategy's eating up all these Bitcoin. It doesn't seem fair. But like they built it. They created this product, and that's what they're benefiting from right now. It'd be the exact same thing if I had this, insane invention and I sold it to the market and I took all my proceeds and bought Bitcoin with that. Like it's the exact same thing, I think. So it's clear that there is demand for this. And I think that this is going to be the first of many. And I fully agree with what Robin said there. I think that they're going to make movies about this stuff in the future because it's just that insane to me. So I don't know if I really answered the question there or not, but that's kind of where my thoughts are around the Stretch thing. It's a lot. And I think by the time a lot of people catch on to what's happening, it's going to be unfortunately too late for them to get a real sizable stack. I still think that whatever you can get at this point is going to be more than enough if you can hang on to it for decades. But the people who are kind of dragging their feet right now are going to miss out on a lot of cheap Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, STRC is definitely top of funnel. And that's something I didn't mention in my video. My video that we referenced at the beginning of the chat is I try to find some criticisms of STRC and I compare it to altcoins and stuff with short-term time preference and that. But a lot of the pushback I've gotten in the comment section is people saying, STRC is 10% of my portfolio is for short-term capital. I have 15% in crypto ETFs and 15% in STRC. And I think it is sort of that introduction to people that barely know what Bitcoin is, see the returns and are just enticed by it. Like Misty, MSTY, which is like this covered call ETF that pays return of capital. I think it led a lot of people to MSTR and then that led a lot of people to Bitcoin. Unfortunately, it was designed in a way that just erodes capital the entire time. STRC is not that way. So people seeking these larger dividend style returns in the way they function, but it's actually return of capital. I think that's an entirely different there's crossover. There's Bitcoiners that want that too. But there's an entirely different subsection of investors that want those returns. And will figure out if they'll have to look into STRC and therefore MSTR and therefore Bitcoin. And that just leads them to understanding this asset to some degree because of STRC. I think it's massive top of funnel to Bitcoin adoption, actually.
So sorry, Rajat, I just want to jump in here quick, because there's somebody on Nostr, Sam Magner said, STRC is short-term cash for us, less than 5 years. Everything held longer is cold storage Bitcoin. Would you guys want to be outside of Bitcoin for 5 years? Like we just talked about the upside potential of, missing, what was it, Rajat? 10 days and 20 years if you're outside of,
10 days a year.
So like, is it worth it? I don't know.
No, that's another comparison that I made there is that when you trade shit coins, these altcoins and stuff, you end up with less Bitcoin on average. The vast majority of people doing that end up with less Bitcoin after they're done. STRC is the same. There's going to be a few people that are able to time it, get the short-term value out of STRC, and get Bitcoin at a better price. But the vast majority of people doing that and trying to do that will end up with less Bitcoin because they bought STRC, in my opinion.
I think one of the what you were saying there, Jor, strategy is cheating. It does feel like it. It definitely does. But they're the ones who created the best savings product in the world.
Yeah.
And now they're funneling as much money into it as possible. And it's not like they're forcing people to do it. The world sees 11.5% interest, and they don't really care about the mechanism behind it. What they care about is, I would say a lot of the people who are buying STRC probably don't care about Bitcoin. They just see 11.5% interest paid monthly, looks great. And it's becoming more and more stable. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think there's a big cohort of STRC buyers also that love Bitcoin. They just want a better cash reserve. So they have maybe 2% cash reserves, 5% cash reserve. And instead of putting it into money markets, like ETFs, or just cold hard cash where they get 1% or something like that, they're like, I love Bitcoin, and I want to keep my cash rather liquid in something that is low volatility and gives me, instead of 1%, 4%, or just 0.5% or 50 basis points, I get 11% for it. I think there's also this, I see it more and more, especially not being offensive, a lot of boomer Bitcoiners I see on Bitcoin Twitter saying I'll double down on my stretch position. I'm especially the closer you are to retirement, the more stretch actually makes sense for you, I think.
It all depends on your time horizon. Yeah. If you have, let's say, a month to retirement and you don't plan to work after that, you probably want more stretch. But if you have, let's say, for example, all of us, I think we probably have 20 plus years to retirement, right? If you have 20 plus years, you don't want to have the majority of your portfolio in something like stretch. I think that would be a terrible decision.
Yeah. And part of it too, and you guys, someone just kind of mentioned this as well, but everyone thinks they are Luke Gromen, where it's I'm doing this for 30 years. I'm a trader. That's my expertise. The promise of Bitcoin is that you don't have to play in that world. You can just focus on your craft. You can be, optometrist. You can be a lawyer. You can be, whatever, swinging hammers, whatever, plumber, and you can just save in Bitcoin over time. And I think, again, you guys nailed it's the time horizon thing that really trips up most people. This goes back to, and we've talked about this before too, the memes in Bitcoin cut both ways. You got to be very careful with the memes, because the memes are great for normies. The general memes of Bitcoin are amazing for pre-coiners, no coiners, etc. But once you get into Bitcoin, then it can cut both ways. You have to be very careful, because you can get into this world of I'm never selling one of my sats ever. And it's 10 years later and you're dude, you're worth, in USD, you're worth $15 million, bro. What are you doing? Just spend a little bit. But people call into the Dave Ramsey show. I mean, Rajat, we've talked about this before. People call into the Dave Ramsey show and they ask Dave how to spend money, because they've held on so long, like Scrooge McDuck, they don't even know how to spend money. And I know, and that's one of the criticisms of Bitcoin. You hear a lot of people say well, yeah, you can't have this neutral money with deflationary, deflationary system. It won't work. People won't spend their money. And again, people need to buy stuff in the world. It will happen. But this is where just flexing that muscle, working that muscle of, hey, I'm going to save, I'm going to spend a little bit. I have to understand that, save more than I consume, but like you have to work both those muscles, build a circular economy. So it really is a time horizon thing at the end of the day. And like you guys said, short term, yeah, stretch. I mean, things like this are great for like these short term. I see people in the comments, like, for my bills or my checking account, whatever it is, where it's like, instead of that, I've got it in stretch, where it's maybe a shorter term thing, a liquid instrument where I can just get in and out, get some return. So it's very interesting.
One other thing here, we talked about STRC being limited by the amplification ratio. So if there's an environment where they can't issue more MSTR stock, then they can't issue more STRC. If they can't issue more STRC, then there's more demand for it than they can issue. The variable rate will go down. So I think we're starting to see, we kind of get locked into these things of thinking, okay, well, now for half a month, STRC is just printing cash and being able to buy tons and tons of Bitcoin more than ever. And that's going to be regular. But we don't really actually know what's going to be regular with this. I think that there's possibility, like if Bitcoin draws down a lot, MSTR draws down a lot, they're at a negative to their MNAV. Maybe they hit their amplification with STRC that they want to hit. I think, yeah, it's just something I was thinking of, is that this is going to be more unpredictable than people realize. And I think a lot of people are thinking STRC is the underlying bit of Bitcoin and just will be here now that it's established. And I don't know if that's true.
But what would be the situation where they can't issue MSTR, but they can issue, like if Stretch is so popular, wouldn't automatically be a lot of people also interested in MSTR common, and they always have some premium, so they can always kind of issue against that?
Yeah, that's what I was
think so.
No, that's what I was thinking too, because if STRC is up, it means that MicroStrategy can buy more Bitcoin, meaning they have more collateral, meaning they have more assets, meaning that the flywheel gets more powerful. And like the way that I look at it, if somebody wanted to take Strategy's Bitcoin stack, they could probably pay the price. Strategy could probably sell it at the market, right? Like they could sell a significant amount of Bitcoin. Like there's probably players out there who have $50 billion that they want to buy Bitcoin with, but they just have to do it over time because of how markets work. So if Strategy wanted to sell their Bitcoin today, they could probably find a buyer who is willing to buy 10 billion, and then another buyer who's willing to buy 10 billion, another buyer who's willing to buy 10 billion. They could liquidate everything they have at the market. So I don't know if they can go below 1, because they've created this system, this machine with Stretch that keeps them just adding more and more money and getting more and more Bitcoin. It's making their flywheel even more powerful.
I agree with that, but I don't know if the market would 100% realize that in the short term. So I think it's definitely possible. Now, what the possible of MSTR dropping below 1 MNAV, what the likelihood is, I don't know. I wouldn't rate it necessarily that high, but I think it's possible personally.
Yeah, especially in the short run. You're right. It can drop on in short. It's just like my question was more like, I think it doesn't come to a long-term problem, because if Stretch is a popular product, people naturally go ahead and say like, hey, I like the volatility and the high rewards, and I see a lot of people love that Stretch product, so I'm buying some MSTR shares. That's kind of like the thing. But you're right. Like short term, like anything can happen. I think they are even already dropped one time under 1 MNAV, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, they did in the past. Yeah. Actually, I think recently it depends how you measure it. People are measuring versus market cap or enterprise value, different measurements and things. But they can still just buy Bitcoin anyway. Even if they are issuing below 1 MNAV, they can still do that to just buy Bitcoin and build their capital base. So it's not. That's the other thing too, is it's not necessarily true that they can't continue to expand their capital base even below 1 MNAV if the MSTR stock is trading that way, which still allows them to have an amplification ratio that they want to have. Yeah, I think the only reason I brought this up is because I think a lot of people quick to jump on narratives and see these things as like, oh, this is the sort of the end game. And I'm guilty of that too. But like STRC is incredibly innovative. It is definitely going to take a larger market share over time, but it doesn't mean that because we've had this they've had this unbelievable success with it recently means that it won't decouple. Amplification ratio goes up. They end up lowering the dividend because there's not enough, or there's too much demand. There's still a lot of potentials, possible futures for this, I would say. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, this is it. We have a constant bid from STRC now. I think it's exciting as it's happening, but I would just expect it to just continue to be volatile based on like if it's actually working or not.
One thing I find really interesting, and I was watching the True North pod the other day. It was really good from like last week, I think. And I haven't caught their show in a little while. But I knew we were going to talk about it. So I was catching their stuff, and, you know, I know a bunch of those guys. I know a bunch of us know them, and they were good dudes. And, one of the guys was talking about the Strategy World event and the True North thing, you know, they had at the event, the little satellite. And, he was saying that there was a guy, a business owner there, and he was like, yeah, I'm using the stretch for my short-term capital, like we've just been talking about with the business. So it's coming in. And then he's like, when I get the 11%, then I take that 11% and I put that into Bitcoin, actual Bitcoin, you know, and self-custodying Bitcoin. And so, you know, again, Rajat, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I know you know, Jor, Robin, and Forrest, you guys have talked about this over time too. But from real estate, the world I come from raising money, buying apartment complexes, you know, things like that, it is mind blowing to me. And Grant Cardone now, it looks like someone, this made me think of this too, is kind of finding that unlock. But the ability to raise money, have none of your money in the deal, then go buy an asset with it with fixed debt, and then use that cash flow to buy a Bitcoin or, you know, Stretch or whatever this thing is wild to me. And the fact that zero people, and not zero, but like largely almost no one in the world has figured this out is so mind blowing to me that it's just like you just, from so many angles, you wait for people to wake up, whether it's the Stretch or strategy, what's going on, or it's just this, like the Burr strategy in real estate and how you can use it with Bitcoin, or the Bitcoin mining, like we mentioned earlier, and how it's like, if you're a greenie, well, here you go. There's so many angles, and like, how are people not awake to this? But it's just time at the end of the day. But anyway, I just thought it was fascinating because I've been thinking about the real estate thing for a while. I got out of it largely just because of my situation in life and time of life. So I just couldn't put time and energy into it anymore. I'm like, gosh, do I wish I was like in real estate full time, just like raising money, taking it, and then using that cash flow to buy Bitcoin. Oh my goodness. It's wild. That little amount of cash flow to buy Bitcoin in 5, 10, 20 years will literally pay for the entire properties themselves. I mean, it's so mind blowing to me, and just almost no one's figured it out.
Yeah, that's actually a good point there, Brandon, because I think that a lot of Bitcoiners, once they get to a certain point of understanding and time in Bitcoin, they just kind of write real estate off as, you know, a waste of time. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there's something there. If you have like a decent amount of Bitcoin right now, especially I see over the next decade, houses really coming down, especially in Bitcoin terms, but even in dollar terms, as more and more people kind of figure out that there's a better store of value, I think that these STRC purchases will look like a joke compared to when real estate flows into Bitcoin. But that's a great point, because you know, it's nice to have some in the cyber economy, but you also want to be investing also in the physical world. And I do think that there's an opportunity for Bitcoiners, whether it's like, you know, single house units or multi or whatever it is. I do think at some point Bitcoiners are going to go back a little bit to real estate and use the proceeds of that to buy more Bitcoin and actually leverage against real estate, Bitcoin, kind of create this portfolio that is almost untouchable at that point. Because as much as where we are today, I think it's important that people are almost all in on Bitcoin and cash, as Rajat likes to say. But at some point you want to start diversifying. We're not always going to be in the accumulate as much sats as you can phase. I think that Bitcoiners are going to start investing in other things here.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's some deer outside.
Yeah.
I distracted me a little bit. See it?
I love it. You got your bow? Let's go.
Oh, yeah, I see it moving.
Get that thing.
There was a lynx out there yesterday. First time I've seen one.
Whoa. Wow. Cool. Okay, well, that's next level. We should have streamed yesterday. Jeez.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jor, this is what's fascinating to me. I remember like a year, I don't know when it was now. It was probably like 9 months ago. And when last time I interviewed Dr. Jeff Ross, and I asked him, I was like, when do you see, because I was saying, I will know we're in hyper Bitcoinization or some form of hyper Bitcoinization when my residents or someone in the car wash, whatever asset you own, they're paying you in Bitcoin, right? Like that when your tenant's like, hey, can I pay you in Bitcoin? Or that's when, to me, it's like just my own opinion of like, when do we hit hyper Bitcoinization? Because it's not some thing where it's like, hey, some guy on high came down and said, okay, it's Bitcoin's the account unit of account now across the world. It's just this thing that happens over time, right? So to me, I'm like, okay, that's when I know it's like nice to crawl out of my bunker, like I'm Punxsutawney Phil, like I'm gonna see my shadow as a gopher coming out, in February 2nd or whatever. So Groundhog's Day. And to me, it's like, okay, as a Bitcoiner, now I'll know it's safe. Because the thing I'll say, and the reason I got out of real estate largely, and again, we've talked about this, but it's city risk, it's state risk, it's province risk, it's country risk. It's that to me where it's like, whoa, these cities are going bankrupt. I dealt with one of my properties where it was like, it was a hole in the ground, fix it all up, raise a bunch of money, fix it all up, refinance it, put a tenants in there. And then I've got the city coming after me. I'm like, you realize this was a hole in the ground, right? It was condemned, but no, they're probably getting grants from the state or the federal government. They're getting paid off more, and they're pissed that I actually bought the property and fixed it up. So that to me was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Like you guys, there's so many problems in the fiat world. And so I asked Dr. Jeff, where I'm going with all this, right? Is like, when would you feel like it's safe to venture back into the normal world, the legacy assets? And he was like, yeah, probably 15 years, 20 years. Like, cause then at that point, the S curve is done, the power laws, like all those things have played out 20 years from now. And he's like, okay, now it doesn't make sense to like, oh, I'm investing in Bitcoin as an asset, as an investment. It's just money. And now I have to use that money to go buy other investments to now make a return that might outdo the 15% a year that Bitcoin's climbing each year, or 10% or whatever, 12% type of thing.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I might be too bullish on Bitcoin when I say this, but I don't know if people are gonna go back to investing in real estate, because housing is just, you can build more houses. There's infinity houses that you can build. So it doesn't make sense that the price of housing is going up.
I think it really depends though, Rajat, on like where. You know what I mean? Like I agree with you. I would never invest in like a city again. I don't think that cities they're trending upwards. But like lakeside property, oceanfront property, like you can't make more of those properties. You can build as high as you want to in the city and put people in there, but there's still scarce land and like desirable land that I think you'd have probably better tenants, less maintenance on, that you could even, include just as your overall portfolio. I'm not 100% convinced on that either, Rajat, but I think it's kind of worth at least discussing.
If that's the case, though, then that makes real estate investing in general really risky. If those are the only kinds of property, like very desirable, scarce land and properties are the only thing that is a good investment in real estate, then that makes everything else incredibly risky comparatively. And I think real estate basically only works as an investment because of leverage. And even now, like that Grant Cardone guy, he's using the leverage of a real estate investment to go and purchase more Bitcoin over time, instead of raising the capital to buy Bitcoin, because you can raise more capital to buy properties and then buy Bitcoin over time. Like that's why he's doing that, in my opinion.
And having debt is risky. Like you do have to be smart. This is where like Dave Ramsey, again, Rajat, we go back to like, Dave Ramsey is wrong in the sense of like, you're saving in the wrong money. So you're like, save. Well, you can't save an infinite piece of paper. That makes no sense. But at the same time, like he's right in the sense of you need experience, you need, skills in order to understand debt and how it works and manage these things properly. And that's why it's not for the average person. And so to your point, Forrest, like this is one of those things where it is tough. And I think the next epoch will be huge, because I think it was Jory, you were saying like there's going to be people like there was a small amount of people in the first 5-6 years of Bitcoin that, they were cypherpunks. Some of them lost their coins. Like it's just all over the place, right? They kind of checked out some of them are selling, like it's a different cohort. But the next 10 years, that 2016, 2017 to like 2027, this people, where it's like a big enough cadre of people, those people are going to be wealthy enough in the next epoch or two where, it's like, yeah, are you going to be really wealthy? Probably. Yeah, you will. But in saying that, there's going to be a lot of people that still need to do X, Y, and Z, put food on the table. They're going to want to build businesses, be back in Bitcoin, get into politics. So then to me, the next 10 years is massive, because the 10-year cohort from 2016 to 2026 or 17 to 2027 is going to be a level of people 10 years from now that have a lot of wealth, a lot of power, but they're not quite out of the system, if that makes sense. And they're going to want to pour back into that system, buying these legacy assets, buying sports teams, buying real estate, buying, businesses, and that, and politics. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I think they're going to do that more for fun.
That's what I was going to say.
Maybe,
too.
yeah.
Like they're going to do it out of passion. Like, you know how you guys know how Peter McCormack is doing. Or is it Peter McCormack?
Yep.
Like he's just buying random businesses for fun. Like he just likes doing it. He
Well,
enjoys it.
It's for fun, and he also wants to like improve where he's living physically.
Right. I think that's the investment. Right. And then in that case, I guess you're not even looking at it from a profit motive perspective, right? You're looking at it from how do I improve this place so that my kids can live here?
Exactly.
It's more, it gets past money. I think that's what Bitcoin does. Though. It gives you that ability to get past the financial and into more of the spiritual, emotional, just doing things because you feel like it's right rather than doing it because you need to make a profit.
And those are all valuable things, right? Like we
Yes.
kind of think of investing as being all money centric, but there's other valuable things besides money, and that's kind of what we're talking about here too. Like all real estate will be valuable to some degree, but does it make sense looking at it in a money mind frame of investing? Maybe not. It might make sense in some other way. Like owning a home is not just
utility.
About, yeah, and owning a home is not just about like living somewhere. It's about, okay, now I have the freedom to put a hole in the wall when I hang a painting, and I don't have to ask the landlord. You know, it's a freedom thing as well to some degree, and that's a valuable aspect, and why people might even pay a premium to owning a home compared to renting. So it helps you revalue things when the denominator isn't broken, and we're not all forced to just frantically try to invest and save for the money reasons alone.
Yeah, like the I think the biggest thing will be people won't buy more houses than they need.
Yeah,
they'll buy what they need, and they'll be good.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, amazing.
And it's just utility value. And you guys, I mean, I've seen so many of your guys' videos over the years, you know, talking about this very thing, right? Bitcoin demonetizes these assets. So to your point, you know, Forrest and Jor as well, right? Like you have a utility value, or like you look at gold and silver. Gold and silver goes up. We're going to have it be money. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? It goes up, and now your standard of living goes down because now the cost and everything that silver is in or gold's in now went up. Or even worse, it's not made anymore because now no one can afford it. And now your standard of living really goes down because no one even makes it anymore. Those things, the computers or whatever it is, because the things got too expensive. So that to me is the really big thing. And things go down to the utility value because Bitcoin sucks that monetary premium from all the assets. And so now people can afford all these things. They can afford housing. They can afford all this stuff. Like it's very simple. And the other reason why I left real estate, one of the other, besides the city risk and all these other things, is because I saw for 10 years, I would do Facebook Lives. I would do a lot of stuff trying to like, hey, here's, you know, real rates, and here's, you know, what real money is and all these things. No one cared. Like no one cared. And then it just confused the people around me because they're like, well, what do you do? Like, what's your actual job? I'm like, what do you mean? I've been doing real estate for like 10 years, but I'm like, you know, doing Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives when those came out. And I would just sit there for like an hour and talk about all the stuff we're talking about basically. And people were like confused, but then no one did it though. So you realize I was like, I'm spending all this time and energy. I've got agents on my team. I've got employees on my team. I've got all these different people, and I'm paying all this money. I'm marketing to try to get houses that, you know, need to be fixed up and all that stuff. And I was like, no one's going to do this. This only worsens the wealth gap. All these things only get worse. So that's where, like, when Bitcoin comes along in your journey and you're ready for it, you realize, oh my gosh, this solves all these political issues. You know, not that it solves the wealth gap per se, but it at least brings the poor and the middle class up. It creates this floor where now you're not going down. The rich might still get richer theoretically, right? But you have this world where now it's not expanding, where the wealth gap just keeps growing and growing massively. And so to me, that was the aha moments of, whoa. Like the amount of time and energy for 10 years of studying this, doing hundreds of transactions and realizing like, I have to do all this work just to try to get ahead. There's no way in Sam hell anyone else is going to be able to get ahead if I'm, you know, like I'm sitting here. So that to me is like the aha of Bitcoin truly, where you're like, whoa. There's got to be something different here. It's got to be a little bit easier. And of course it is if you understand Bitcoin.
I want to maybe before because I think we just have like a few more minutes left. I want to get your guys' reaction on that, or not reaction, but like your take on that, because I'm really curious about that. And it relates to like MSTR and stretch thing that we were talking about. I was massively underestimating how many Bitcoin Stretch can buy. I remember the time when they had 100K Bitcoin, and I was like, yeah, maybe they get to 210, but I don't know if they get even beyond that. And now they are like 738 or something like that. And I can see now a way how they can get to 1 million this year, maybe 2 million even in the long run. Let's see how well the Bitcoin yield can perform. But what do you guys think is the end game for strategy? Like what if Bitcoin is a like 200, 300, 400 trillion dollar asset? Like what is strategy's role? Are they like a central bank and for Bitcoin? Is it like a layer 2 for Bitcoin, layer 3 for Bitcoin? How do you guys think about strategy's role? Because I think we all agree that it probably is a big role if they are continuing that trajectory.
I've always thought that they could create a layer 2. I think that'd be really cool because they have all the liquidity. They can fund that layer 2 with it, and they're almost like a, what's it called? Like in the legacy financial system, you have a group of people who, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically to ensure that contracts are fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like an oracle. Right? Like an oracle kind of.
That's not the word. I'll find out what the word is, but it's similar, I guess.
I mean, they have already created layer 2s. STRC is a layer 2. MSTR is a layer 2. They're just riding on financial rails instead of crypto rails or anything else, any sort of other network. Like the Lightning Network is its own thing, right?
Yeah.
I think MSTR will do whatever they want to do because they will have so much capital and their debt will be so devalued by the money printer that they will just be able to buy anything they want, any productive company, business. I hope that they do find value in investing in the Bitcoin ecosystem in some way that is not in some biased and kind of controlling way. And that's my hopes. But I have no idea what that's going to look like in the future.
Amen.
It's a clearinghouse. That's what I meant to say.
Mm.
So they could be the clearinghouse for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. Yes, film production said it as well. Yes, clearinghouse.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about, like the layer 2 of Bitcoin. It's a stretch is already there, and then there's this weird kind of bug things, like those stretch on crypto rails on Ethereum and all of those. Like I have not looked into them at all. But I talked with Dan today, and he also said like they can do it on Lightning, they can do it on whatever, which I found kind of interesting. Then you would almost have like a layer 4 on Bitcoin, and like Stretch is kind of layer 2, and then there's like things on top. It's a crazy thing. I've not looked into that too much.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're only doing that on Ethereum right now, but it is possible to do on Liquid and Lightning. I mean, USDT trades on the Lightning Network as well, or operates on the Lightning Network. Yeah, it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how it goes. I got to go though, guys. I'm going to head out. Appreciate the conversation today. Really insightful.
Great stuff, brother.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Watch video too on Stretch. Yep.
Then I guess I think we guys also have to close because we are around the 1 hour mark. I'll just make a quick shout out to our channel just so for people can see it again.
Yeah, good idea.
Here, let me see if I can show it here. Here it should be. That's it. I think most of us also put it in the chat. The link. It's just like youtube.com/BTC Mastermind. I think it's like easy to get there. And I think we had 3-4 people that already watched there the whole time, which is really cool. And nice. Long term we will be there. I just see that my description is still German because it's an old German channel that I reactivated. So I'll clean it up. There's also the wrong thumbnails. I will clean it up, make it nice and feel good, and have a different kind of look to it. All those things that you're seeing now was generated within like 2 minutes of me and AI prompting. I want to have nice designs and nice logos there, and nice thumbnails. And so yeah, this will be the long-term home for our small mastermind sessions. So thank you guys for tuning in. Anything? I think last time we said we can add like one tidbit or like one thing that you wanna guys throw in there. I think Brandon, you brought that idea up last time.
Yeah. I mean, my thing for this week is, just one foot in front of the other. Watch the fundamentals. That's all that matters. Fundamentals have never been stronger than Bitcoin. The hash rate, everything keeps growing. Again, as an investor, we're talking about stretch and all these things. As an investor, from the investor mindset, not my revolutionary hat. So I'm gonna take my revolutionary hat, put my investor mindset. The trend is your friend at the end of the day, and the fundamentals. You look at fundamentals, technicals, cash flow, and risk management. That's kind of like the 4 pillars in a way. And nothing has changed, and they all look great, all 4 of those pillars. So to me, that's the big thing. Not everyone's built to be a revolutionary. We kind of talked about that in the beginning of the show. So stretch, all these things are going to be part of a lot of people's portfolio. And these worlds are colliding though. The Jeff Booth, like these worlds are colliding. The debt-based system, and this Bitcoin equity system, they are colliding. The good thing is, MicroStrategy has a lot of Bitcoin, so we shall see what happens. But be alert, be on guard. You have to keep yourself alive though. At the end of the day, being a martyr won't really help, in this situation. So, you got to do what you need to do. So, the memes cut both ways. Just be cautious. At the end of the day, you got to keep yourself alive. That's a big thing. So, do what you need to do. Be smart about it. Whether it's the debt, keep things in self custody, stretch, all the things we talk about. But it's keep yourself alive, because we need everyone here. As many people together on the same team going the same direction. So awesome chat this week, guys.
Awesome. Anything to add from Rashad or Chor?
I've actually been so Jor's been recommending a book, Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading it on my e-reader. Amazing. It gives you a different perspective on I guess manifesting wealth, building wealth, getting what you want. I really like it. It's a little, I was talking to Jor, it's a little repetitive, but I got to keep going. I feel like this is the thing, right? You just got to keep going through. It's the dip, right? Like I'm going through the dip right now. I'm finding the book a little bit boring, but I got to get through it. That's the thing. I got to get through it. Same thing with Bitcoin. Same thing with studying anything. Same thing with your health, for example. There was actually, do you guys know who Jeff Nippert is?
Yeah, the fitness guy, right?
Yes. I'm not sure if you guys know, but his fiance passed away. She was only 36 years old.
No way.
So like that to me, that's really messed up.
Wow.
Pay attention to your health, right? It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you have. If you die, what's your Bitcoin going to do, right? It can't do anything. You can't take it with you. So
yeah.
Health.
How did you die? Like, was it like a health thing or just like an accident?
Didn't say. I think it was, I honestly don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it's really sad that she died so young. Live your life, enjoy your life. My wife's coworker died. He was mid-40s. It's happening to a lot of people. I think this is the age where you start kind of seeing that happen, and enjoying your life is so important.
Well said.
I think. Yeah, I was just going to say what I want to end with today kind of relates to what I think strategy is going to end up as well. Is kind of going back to what we were talking about with real estate. Like I really see Bitcoin as scarce land in the cyber economy. And I think that, so with that in mind, if you consider the rich dad, poor dad strategy, using real estate to get more real estate, never selling, never paying taxes, like you can basically apply those same principles with Bitcoin now. And it seems like strategy's kind of going down that road. So just imagine the world, but instead of the world of physical space, it's a cyber economy, and strategy is just eating up chunks of land and townships and sections. And they're going to be able to, like Forrest said, be able to do whatever they want to. And I think that if Bitcoiners thought about the same way, like we talked about stretch, I think that the number one thing that Bitcoiners can do is get the keys to your Bitcoin, take self-custody of it. That's what gives you true freedom, is Bitcoin and self-custody. And look at this thing like farmland. Think of yourself like a first-generation Bitcoiner. I think that's the best analogy that I've come up with to date of how people should be looking at this, because farmers don't look at the value of their land every single day to see if it's gone up so they can sell it. They focus on providing value, providing food to their community, and increasing their acres, increasing their land, accumulating more land, instead of looking at as if they're going to sell it. They want to accumulate more for their family. So think about yourself as a first-generation Bitcoiner. Protect what you have, because what you have today is more than enough. If you consider what the value of a Satoshi is going to be in a couple decades from now, focus strictly on protecting what you have and making sure that you have enough cash flow coming in that you don't have to sell those sats that you've been able to accumulate so far. You've already won. You just got to focus on keeping it.
I think this is amazing, and I will not add anything to those 3 amazing points that you guys made. So thank you so much, Brandon, Rashad, and Shore for being here with us today. Also, thank you, Forrest Hoddle, for being here. This was an amazing show. I think I'm already looking forward to the next week's already. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Also for the audience, and seeing you guys next week.
Make sure you go subscribe to the new channel. We'll be there shortly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome chat, guys. Great stream. Great chat too, by the way. Great chat in the chat.
Yeah, chat was buzzing.
It was buzzing. So